Hey everyone, Instorm here, and welcome back to Minecraft 1.2 Nostalgia Survival. And I have some crazy work stories to tell you. Head out to the mines. The mines of Moya. So the last two jobs that I had have been working on cars. The first car job I got a few years ago was because I wanted to make some money over the summer between college semesters. Is this an underground ravine? It is. Let's go. My teacher knew that this shop needed some help because the guy who owned it was in prison for a DUI. Some people say he was taking drugs because he just got out of the hospital for an injury and it just came up on the DUI test. Other people said he got addicted to the drugs at the hospital. I have no idea. But ironically, what that place also does is breathalyzers for DUIs. Light up this place. Light up the night. Double ravine. Okay, that's diamond hunting territory. Oh my gosh, the fog. That's really cool. What really sucked about that job, though, was I was the only technician there. My teacher would show up every once in a while because he worked at a shop just down the street. But for the most part, I was just there. And even though I was in school for auto stuff, I didn't have the confidence to just do a whole bunch of repairs on everyone's cars. So what I ended up doing, I ended up cleaning out all the tools and the yard and everything on the property, pressure washing stuff, and I learned how to do all the breathalyzer stuff. So I learned how to install breathalyzers in people's cars. I learned how to do the monthly recharge or whatever you want to call it, and also the removals of them, which the installs and the removals are a whole bunch of wiring. The breathalyzers, you have the actual machine that you blow into. The ones we were using, you had to kind of hum into, so you go like, and then it would allow you to start the car. But that connects to a box that's under the dash. You have to wire that to the starter circuit, and then you also have a camera in there. Now, the thing is the camera's there for people to see who's actually blowing into the thing. No one ever checks the cameras, and so what people end up doing, they can be drunk, but then they give the breathalyzer to their kid who's in the car. Just say, hey, blow into this, and boom, they drive off. Breathalyzers suck so much, and they cost a fortune. There's a huge fee for the install, a huge fee for the removal, and there's a fee every month. It's not worth it at all. And as soon as you're in the system, that's it. If you ever get pulled over ever again in your life, they're probably going to get you again. A lot of them have had breathalyzers before. Doing all of that taught me how to be a desk person, which was not something I signed up for, but you learn that you adapt to be kept. Oh, crap. Well, I guess I'm down here now. Uh-oh, where's the skellies? Hello, sirs. Oh, I think there's two of them. Okay, one's down, one's down. Where's the other one? I have no idea. I have no idea. Where is he? Where is he? Oh, he's up there. Okay. We're having a chaotic moment in the nice Minecraft music. No diamonds, no caves. That kind of sucks because now we have to strip mine. The craziest story that I have from working there is this woman, probably the best way of describing her is a Hollywood diva, I guess. She brings her car in to have her breathalyzer removed. And while I'm working on the car, she goes off to the bar. That's right next door. That's also very ironic to have the bar right next door to a breathalyzer place. And while we're looking at it, we check the brakes, and there is nothing left to them. The rotors are absolutely destroyed. The pads are at nothing. She comes back, and we tell her that you really need brakes, and she's going to pay for the breathalyzer stuff right then. And she's like, oh, I left my purse in the bar. Like, who leaves their money just unattended in a bar? I don't know. So she goes back to the bar. She doesn't come back right away. So while she's there, she's talking to the guys in the bar saying that, oh, I need brakes. And they're like, oh, yeah, whatever. That's what they always say. You can have a machine for pretty cheap. Abandoned mine shaft. Ooh. She comes back from the bar with a guy who doesn't have a leg. He has a prosthetic leg. He's saying, oh yeah, no, you could do him for cheaper, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, I'm not gonna do the brakes. He goes back to the bar. She pays for the service, and then she's going on about, oh yeah, here's my address for witness protection and stuff. It's like, you're under witness protection? You're not supposed to be telling people about that. She has this chihuahua in her purse, and she's like, oh, you want to see what my dog can do? And so she starts playing some song on her phone, and the chihuahua starts screeching to the song. And she's like, oh, isn't it so cute that it's singing? It's like, it's the most shrill sound you've ever heard in your life. It is awful. Your ears are dying, and you're like, please stop, you paid, just leave already. She's probably half drunk at this point with brakes that are non-existent. It's like, oh my gosh, you are a danger to everyone on the road. And this is why breathalyzers don't really work, is because you serve your time and then next thing you know, they're driving drunk again. We had one car come in at that place that it was like a barn on the inside. We're talking hay and just crap and stuff piled to the brim everywhere in this car. It was like you went into a horse sty that hadn't been cleaned. It's like, and you drive with your car like this. How do you put up with this? I don't understand. There's an old lady that came in who's really nice. Diamonds, let's go! She was talking that sometimes she puts her foot on the gas and the car doesn't go. It's a PT Cruiser. I'm messing around with the gas pedal, and so you have the metal bar and then there's a plastic piece is what your foot goes on. And I'm messing with it going, the plastic piece moves without pushing the lever of the pedal. And so I say, hey, it might just be that you're moving this piece that just flaps and doesn't move the pedal, and maybe that's why you're pushing on the pedal and you're not going anywhere. That was a really weird problem that probably quite a few cars have. Diamond pick, baby. Let's go. Let's not fall into lava. The guy was in jail for 3 months, and his kids came by a couple times. There was one point where the kids were playing natural disaster survival on Roblox, and I was like, hey, I played that game when I was a kid. And they're like, really? What? They were just so baffled that this guy twice their age had played the same game that they were playing. I found out then that the game was older than them. Back to the surface. That was a lot quicker than post 1.18. Portal. I'm gonna put it in right here. Make a fence around it so pigmen can't come out of it. Boom, 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 boom. Yes. Heck yeah, we just need a flint and steel. We have flint and we have steel. Light the portal. Heck yeah. Progress. So that job I ended up quitting because college classes started up again. It was just going to be a summer job anyway. Even though I had a perfectly good excuse to leave, it was still hard to because I knew I was valuable. I had to learn that the world will keep spinning without me. Another thing that I still struggle with sometimes is that it's hard to say no to things if someone's like, hey, can you do this? For me, it feels like you're being a jerk and you want to try to be nice to everyone, be a little bit of a people pleaser. Telling them no is just like, now they have to go find someone else, or they think you're a jerk or something. It's like, no, that's not the case. It's just, maybe I had something else planned, or that's not what I want to spend my time doing. And that right there, your time is valuable. You decide how you want to spend your time because you'll only have X amount of it. You don't even know how much you have. And that's some of my problem with work. You're giving so much of your time away to work just to pay the bills when there's more to life than just paying the bills for survival so you can go pay the bills the next day. There's so much more to life. There's your purpose, what you were meant to do, the things you want to do, things you want to try. All of that really gets sucked away when you're just trying to put food on the table. What? Yippee. Water sucks. Wow. Nice sunrise to start my death with. Water doesn't break your fall in this version. Wow, I did not remember that. Maybe it's only source blocks that break your fall? Now my levels are gone. I had, what, 13 levels, and now I'm down to 5? I just got done working for Ford. It was a much better experience than the last shop that I was just telling you about. A dealership is pretty universal of how they work. There are also a bunch of people there. You can ask questions. It's not just dependent on you and what you know. There are a few things that we did there that it's like, oh, that's how they wanted us to do it at the other place. Ford has the STARS program, and that's what all their online training is. And in college, I got plugged in with the ACE program, which basically is STARS, but for while you're in college, and it's just the online part. It'll transfer to STARS once you start at a dealership. I got interviewed at Ford saying, hey, I have the ACE program done. They're like, cool, we'll get that transferred over, and because you're basically done with STARS, we'll get you off to the STARS in-person classes as soon as possible, and we'll move you up through the ranks pretty quick because of that. That was going to be maybe 3 months. How it works there is you have lube, quick lane, and then heavy shop. Lube does oil changes and tires, and that's about it. Quick lane, they do coolant and brakes and stuff like that. And heavy shop, they're the ones where they start specializing into transmission and engine and stuff like that. Or you could be an electrical guy. The guy who hired me got fired 2 weeks after I started. It took forever to get my stuff transferred because no one had done it before. They had to call a Ford rep for the state. But it finally got transferred over, and they're like, hey, we'll sign you up for classes. Yeah, right. 9 months later, they hadn't signed me up for classes, and multiple other people had been hired since me. And one of them, for some reason, the bosses were like, yeah, let's move you up. And not only are we going to move you up to quick lane within just a couple months, we're going to move you all the way to heavy shop after a month being in quick lane. You have no experience, no schooling, no stars done, and they're just favoring them. You said you would move me up because I had experience and training done, but no, we're going to move someone up who has none of that. And so I was like, okay, 9 months, I quit. One of the fun experiences I had from there is we got to test drive new cars. I got to drive a Ford Lightning, which is the electric F-150. Thank God that thing is traction control, because I floored it at one point and it was like, oh, it had no traction. Those things are stupid fast. The other fun cars I got to drive were a stick shift Miata and a stick shift V8 Mustang. Oh man, those things are fun. What's also a very useful skill is knowing how to drive big trucks. At least at Ford, where they have dualies and transits, and every once in a while we get like a big camper, and maneuvering them around a super tight parking lot. One of my vacations in Washington, we drove around the Olympic Peninsula in a dually. And so that's backcountry roads with the wide dually tires. Once or twice we went off road and having trees like really close to you. And so I had that experience of driving dualies under my belt. And I also helped my dad move a handful of years ago. That was the biggest box truck that you can get with a trailer behind it. So I had experience of driving probably the biggest thing you can drive with the trailer without having a CDL. And thank goodness did I have it, because there was one day I had to do like a 5-point turn to park a dually in a parking space where there were cars in both sides and in front of me. And so I'm just inching it in with probably an inch on all three sides. It's like, Oh my gosh, I never want to do that again without a backup camera. We had one new guy who really wasn't understanding the job. He was putting the wrong size socket on lug nuts and wondering, why is it not fit? It's like, well, dummy, it's the wrong size. I think the average person has enough common sense to know if it doesn't fit, maybe it's the wrong size. Maybe I should try something else. But no, this guy was just like, ding, 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 why does it not work? There was 1 week that he didn't fill out his time card for the entire week. And so the boss was like, hey, where's your time card? And he's like, I think I left it at home. And we're all like, right, that's because that's what happened. He goes zooming through the parking lot and leaves. And we're like, he was just gone to get his time card. And now he's just gone. I go to clock out for lunch. The bosses are, for some reason, back in that office. And I look at my time card and I'm like, I didn't clock out at this time. So he ended up clocking out on my time card. And so I go and find his time card. And I'm like, yeah, and this is where I see the 8888555555. And I'm going, yeah, I don't think he had a time card for last week. And then also with him zooming through the parking lot super fast, screeching the tires and everything, and not coming back after all that, they're like, if he comes back, he's fired. But we've had some other stupid stuff happen, like people putting oil in the coolant. A zombie's breaking a door, but there's not doors. Where's a door in a cave? This car came in. Are we at a stronghold? Oh my gosh. Hello? It's still this way. Is it through here? Hello? Hello? We had one car come in that had a broken radiator, but it also had a head gasket out, and they were like, nah, just do the radiator and do an oil change on it. It's like, dummy, you're still putting coolant in your oil. After they fixed the radiator, we got the oil change, and the oil was a milkshake. Is it down and I'm just stupid? Yes! Oh my gosh! I'm a genius! Oh my gosh, we found the stronghold without even using Eyes of Ender. Holy crap, are we lucky? Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. And we have skellies that are really freaking annoying. I need to eat. I need to heal. Holy crap, dude. This is a major turn of events. We're at bedrock level, though. That's why it's so dark. We can block off this path, which also means all of this is useless. Okay, we're making progress. Oh, floating torch. Well, that's weird. So either I missed it, or it's higher up. What to do in this situation? Do we write down the chords and come back? And just mine out the whole freaking thing? There's 1 or 2 cars in town that have Chip Foose wheels on them, and they're pretty nice looking wheels. This car comes in though, and it has a Foose license plate on it. I'm like, they must be a big fan of Chip Foose, I guess? Did they really like the show? And then I notice that their license plate frame also is Chip Foose. And then I'm looking in the car, and they have a lanyard hanging down. The lanyard is Chip Foose. And then on the lanyard, it's Chip Foose's mom from when she went to SEMA a couple years ago. And I'm like, Oh my gosh, I'm working on Chip Foose's mom's car. I went to school with a guy who was actually kind of close friends with Chip Foose before he got famous with his TV show. What I know Chip Foose from is that he made the Diora 2. He was one of the main people who made the one-to-one Hot Wheels Diora 2, which I've gone and seen in person a couple times. So that was a crazy experience working on his mom's car. A funny story was there was a car that came in for rodent damage, I guess, and this guy, he takes off the bumper and a bunny goes running out from the car. So this bunny came from the neighboring town in the bumper of this car. Like, that bunny must have been freaked the heck out. We get a lot of cars in there with rodent damage, or at least evidence of rodents. There's mouse poop, or there's a whole bunch of debris just piled up somewhere. Sometimes it's the cabin filter, it's all ripped apart, or maybe it's like the V of the engine. There's just junk all in this one little tight area. So we got to tell the customer, there's mice in your car. Really what you want to tell them is, stop parking your $50,000 car outside. Put it in the garage instead of all your junk in there that's worth nothing. One truck I was working on had rodent damage, and as I was working on it, I noticed there's a mouse on the floor right underneath it. Some of the other guys are like, okay, let's try to catch it or kill it or get it out of the shop so it doesn't damage any other cars, which, you know, out of the shop just means the parking lot with 100 other cars that it can do damage to. Mice are freaking evil when it comes to cars because they can chew through a couple wires, and now you need a whole new $10,000 wiring harness. Not to mention, manufacturers only make wiring harnesses for the entire car. They don't make little pieces that you can just replace a piece of it. You have to rip apart the entire interior of the car to replace a wiring harness. Knowing that there's a mouse in the shop, some of the guys are like, we gotta freaking kill this thing. So I'm trying to scare it out into the open where someone can get it. This other guy, he kicks the mouse so hard it flies across the shop, smacks into the wall, and is kind of just stunned, like half dead, and he goes over there and then kicks it again, and it's dead. Another thing that happened at the shop was I got a nickname. I don't think I've ever had a nickname before. There's Drew, but that was never what my parents wanted to call me. You can't shorten it anymore because what are you gonna be? And there was another Andrew. Someone was super clever and came up with and 2. Diamonds. Yes. How many? 1, 2, 3. Not too shabby. So now we can make an enchanting table and a sword. There's a guy who brought his car in on a tow truck. He might have been high or something because he hit a curb and it destroyed the front suspension. I guess they weren't feeling too well, Mr. Stark, because there's crap in the car and he's getting out of the tow truck, literally crapping all over the ground into the dealership, and then goes to the bathroom, just craps all on the floor and the walls. What is making you have diarrhea freaking everywhere uncontrollably for like half an hour or more? The boss was gonna end up taking this guy to the hospital, but he kept falling and couldn't get in the car, so they ended up calling the ambulance. There's a car that came in that they said they lost their key in Vegas. This is a push-button car, so the key has to be near the car for it to actually start. If the car's driving and then loses detection of the key, as soon as you turn it off, it won't turn back on again. They drove all the way back from Vegas with the spare key. They were like, I don't know why the spare key isn't unlocking and locking the car, but the car still turns on. I get the key to do the oil change for this car, and I'm like, this key doesn't go to this car. So where is the key? Because the car starts. We check wipers and lights when we pull it into the bay. I cycle the wipers, boom, key falls on the floor. Someone else picks it up. They're like, what is this? The key was in the cowl of the car and somehow managed to stay there all the way from Vegas. And And they're even luckier because if they would have had rain and used their wipers, their key would have been gone and they could have been stranded somewhere. That customer is so lucky. If you talk to the service writers, they always have crazy stories. They always have idiots and crazy people and stupid people. This guy called up a couple weeks ago and was like, my car's not running super great. They're like, oh yeah, we can schedule an appointment for you. He's like, no, I'm going to the big city tomorrow. I'll wait to do it. Guy calls back after his big trip. He's like, man, my car really isn't running good. The coolant was low, so I topped it off, but it's making a bunch of smoke and stuff. And so the writer's like, okay, hey, how about tow it in just in case, not do any more damage if there is any. And so he tows it in. He's looking under the hood going like, the coolant's still low. So he takes a picture of the engine bay and goes to the customer and is like, can you show me where on this picture you filled the coolant? And he points straight to the oil fill cap. Oh my gosh, you just put coolant in your oil. So he needed a motor. Another guy, same day, he calls up and is like, hey, wondering if my truck's done. Yeah, the truck's done. That'll be $1,000 or something like that. And the customer is like, I don't have the money for that. And the writer's like, well, you have to pay for it before you can take it back. And he's like, yeah, just take me to court. It's like, what the frick? Who thinks like that? That taking you to court is just the solution to not having money. And then before the writer can get out any more words, customer on the phone's like, I have the spare key. I'll just come pick it up later. It's like, no, you're not. We didn't just do all that work to not get paid. And so the writer instantly goes out to the truck and he pulls the fuel pump relay. So you're not getting anywhere without that. There's just so much crazy stuff that goes on at work. And even though spending all your time at work and not making videos might not be what I want to do, it makes for good story time. 21 books. So we can make an enchantment table like so. Boom. And we're going to put it right there. You can also make a diamond sword. Boom. If you like this one, share with a friend. And if you want to see more like this, hit subscribe. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.